All right, here we go. It is 6 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Manitou Springs City Council, and today is August 18th, 2026. And please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice. All right, and for the record, it's 6:01 and Julie just walked in, but we have not done roll call yet, so she's in the clear. All right, so with that, roll call.
City Council members Gloria Latimer. Present. Carrie Storm.
Present.
Nate Nassif.
Present.
John Shada. Julie Wolf. Mayor Pro Tem Judith Chandler.
Present.
And Mayor Natalie Johnson.
Here. Okay. And next up, we have approval of the agenda. I do believe the agenda is pretty straightforward. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, and a vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. Okay. And next up, we have public comment on non-agenda items, and I do have two comment forms here. First up, we have Carl Stang, and the subject is the July 21st City Council Board Correspondence. Carl, take it away. And just, typically, council does not respond. Thank you.
Carl Stang, 204 Crystal Park Road. You can see how fast I am at keeping up with city council activities. I'm a little bit behind. So I wanted to just talk briefly about the traffic calming discussion at the July 21st meeting, board correspondence, and really want to emphasize that traffic safety concerns are not just speeding, but extend to bullying, harassing, aggressive and excessively loud driving on the streets of Manitou Springs. The city has made changes to streets in Manitou Springs to include road diets, signage, speed humps, and et cetera. And a huge thank you to the city for being open and proactive to doing so. The challenge is that in most cases, the changes have not addressed traffic safety concerns. There's more work to do. Regarding the comment that we have not had any real incidents, this statement disparages and ignores the experience of people outside of cars. Waiting the people to die before we take action is not in alignment with the vision nor the culture in our city laid out in Plan Manitou. And then as well, there was discussion on the differences between e-bikes and e-motos. Much of the growing public concern about e-bike safety has little to do with legal e-bikes. E-bikes are an affordable, climate-friendly transportation option, and legislating restrictions without understanding the nuances could have unexpected consequences. And finally, please consider a resolution supporting the Bicycle Colorado letter to Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser asking for consistent enforcement under the existing House Bill 25-1197, that statute to preserve safe streets and trails for all community members. And then lastly, if I can approach, I do have a brief flyer that has lays out the difference between the three classes of legal e-bikes and e-motos, and just for information for everybody's purpose.
That works. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Next up, we have Ralph Roughton. Ralph, you are going to discuss Crane. Thank you.
Ralph Roughton, 114 Palisade Circle, representing the Creative Alliance Manitou Springs Board, or Crane. I'm here with great news to start your night. Our final and most dramatic public art edition of the year, called Wellspring, will be installed next month at the Dillon Mobility Hub. The artist Randy Walker of Minneapolis will arrive here on September 12th and will begin work putting in the large permanent piece on the 13th. On Thursday, September 17th, Crane will be hosting a celebration to unveil Wellspring to the community and recognize the artist who will be talking about the project that is funded by the URA. The event, combined with one of our occasions called Cookies with Crane, will start at 6 p.m. on the 17th. Since it starts then, parking will be free in the Dillon lot. We much appreciate the great cooperation from city staff in this whole process, and particularly Jillian Rossi and Felipe Lopez, as well as for their enthusiasm for the project. We'll be publicizing the event and inviting the community over the next few weeks, but I wanted to use this means to start getting the word out. We'll look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Okay. All right. Do we have any other public comment this evening? No? Okay. All right. Excellent. Thank you. Next up, we have the consent calendar. In the consent calendar, we have the August 4th, 2026 City Council meeting minutes, the presentation of warrants, and a request to change Lizette Casey from an alternate to regular member of the Manitou Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move approval of the consent calendar.
And a second?
No, I have a request to remove something.
Okay, so we have a second out there, so we need, I believe, a second and then a request.
I'll second it.
Okay, great. Okay, Julie, please,
I just wanted to remove the August 4th minutes.
okay, excellent. Are you amenable to that? Great. Carrie as well? Okay. All right. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar with the presentation of warrants and the Manitou Arts, Culture, and Heritage Board transition?
Yes, Mayor, I'll move to approve on the consent calendar items F2 and F3.
Excellent. Thank you. And the second?
Second?
Great. And a vote?
Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Julie, and what are your concerns about the August 4th meeting minutes?
I just have a request to make a correction or a clarification of one sentence that is under the first sentence under approval of settlement agreement with the Manitou and Pikes Peak Railroad Company. The first sentence says that the settlement agreement was originally approved in 2018. And I think it meant to say that the settlement agreement, that the tax incentive agreement was approved in 2018. The settlement agreement was approved a couple weeks ago. So I would just change, request that we change, let's see, how would that work?
So
City
you
attorney-
move approval of the August 4th meeting minutes with,
Subject to the following changes. The first sentence should say City Attorney Jeff Parker provided background on the settlement agreement between the city and the COG, comma, explaining that the tax incentive agreement, not it, the tax incentive agreement was originally approved in 2018, blah, 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 as opposed to it was approved. The settlement wasn't approved in 2018. It was the tax incentive agreement. So just that one little change.
okay. And Elena, do you understand that request? Okay, excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. And a vote? We need, I think, okay.
Motion carries unanimously.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, next up, presentations. We have the Colorado Springs Utilities Water Line Cathodic Protection Project Plan for fall of 2026. And Bill, I believe that you are going to be presenting that for us, or just, I guess, more of an update.
Good evening, Mayor Johnson, City Council members. My name is Bill Balch. I work for Colorado Springs Utilities and I am the account manager for Manitou Springs. And I'm just here this evening to give you a kind of a quick heads up of a project we have that will be beginning about this time next month on Ruxton Avenue. We will be beginning a cathodic protection project that'll involve approximately 200 potholes up and down Ruxton Avenue on a raw water line. And then we will be installing cathodic protection in those potholes. It's going to take approximately 60 days. We are working on the details of that, and we are scheduled to come back over, I think, at a work session the first part of September, give you more details and more information. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. That project will involve work that will take place every day. The equipment will be removed, the work will be repaired, and the road will be open after that day. And then we'll just keep working either up the hill or down the hill, depending upon how we decide to do it. And the plan is to keep lane of traffic open at all times. With flaggers, we're working on that traffic plan now. And we are working on setting up a community meeting before the project begins. I think we're looking about September 9th or 10th. And we'll be having meetings with other affected stakeholders as well. So I think, like I said, I just wanted to give you a high-level overview of what the project entailed. And then we'll be back next month at a work session to give you more information.
All right. Do we have any questions? Go ahead, Julie.
Do you anticipate any of the parking on the street will have to be removed?
I think our anticipation is right now, probably, if our goal is to try to keep a lane of traffic open at all times, as we're all aware, there are certain areas of the road that are pretty narrow, and when probably won't be able to maintain parking at that time as we go through that area, but we are working on other arrangements for parking for that period of time as we move.
And is
Up
that
or down
something
then.
that you work on, or is that something that Manitou is, whose job is it to determine where those cars should go while the project is ongoing?
We are working with the city of Manitou Springs to figure that out. We'll make arrangements for alternate parking in conjunction with the city's input.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Hi, Mr. Bulch. The meeting that you had prior to the Waltham Avenue work
Mhm.
was really well perceived, I
Mhm.
think well presented. I hope you're
Good,
able
thank you.
to do the same for this project. And I would just voice a concern that the folks on Waltham Avenue, as you know, have had a rough go of it this summer. And if one lane is closed on Ruxton, Capitol Hill up to Waltham, I would not recommend that to be a detour or actually Pilot Knob at all. And also wondering, what about the COG buses?
Well, as I mentioned, we're still working on the traffic plan with the city. Our intention is to keep a lane of traffic open with flaggers directing traffic. I don't think we've gotten to the point of any kind of alternate routes or any
Okay.
detours or anything like that. Our goal is just to try to maintain traffic
Mhm.
at all times during that period of time. It'll just involve a vac truck, which is just a big round truck that sits there, and then we drill these 12-inch holes. We drop our cathodic protection equipment, we cover the holes up and move down. The goal is to do somewhere between 4, 6, 7 holes a day. And so we'll be moving down the street.
So it'll be section by section.
Mhm. Or up the street. Like I say, we haven't decided which way we're going to go yet.
You'll be working on both sides of the street then?
Wherever that water line is, it's a 24-inch raw water line, and it kind of meanders down the road. It was installed over 90 years ago. Still got a lot of good life left in it, and this cathodic protection system will extend that life before we decide sometime in the future what we're going to do to either repair it or replace it or move it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming today.
Sure.
I did have, and thank you, fellow council members for good questions. Is this a noisy procedure? I mean, is this something that we are going to need to alert the residents of a heightened noise level during this process?
I mean, that's a relative term. Yes, there's going to be noise associated with drilling that hole. We're only going to work during the daylight hours, 5 days a week, or maybe even just 4 days a week. That's something else we're trying to decide which would be better for the project as well as the residents and affected stakeholders. to do 10-hour days, to do 8-hour days, what time do we start, what time do we finish? But the intention is to do it during the day, during working hours of the day. Okay.
And Mr. Bolts, did you say that CSU will do the repairs on the holes as well? Okay. Will that be a subcontract to another company to do that, or will CSU?
We
do that?
typically do those ourselves. I'm not going to sit here and say that and then us decide to use a different subcontractor for that. But we typically do those ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much for letting us know, and we look forward to hearing more next month. Okay, next up we have Jenna, Visit Manitou Springs. This is the QT 2026 update, and thank you for working with us. I know that this was supposed to happen last month, so but here we are, and again, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and members of council, and good evening. I appreciate being here. I have had a time to memorize this entire presentation now. So, Elena, are you good to click, or do I need to click? Or Kristen, you're going to click for me? Fantastic. Jenna Wells, Visit Manitou Springs. We're going to be talking a little bit about Q2 mostly. However, I do have some updates since things were delayed. Actually, was a good thing in hindsight, looking back now, that I can show some local, regional, and state reporting, which you've seen in this presentation. So without further ado, what were we up to in Q2? Quite a bit. I tried to fit it all on one page here. So in terms of marketing, we are hiring a new event coordinator who did leave in Q2. So that's ongoing this week and next, and hopefully onboarding next month. And we've got actually now 4 of our ragtag videos complete. Thank you to neighbor Nate, who was our latest model for our next marketing video today. Can't wait to see that. I'm sure you'll all be excited. We've got a lot of earned media this year, and what earned media means is that we didn't pay for the media that was out there. So the relative value of the earned media that we've received so far in 2026 is approximately $182,000. That's a pretty big number for us, and it's pretty exciting for us to have a lot of Manitou Springs out in the world, even things that we don't necessarily pay for. So that's coming from local businesses opening and coverage from local news outlets mostly. But some of the things that we're going to see later in this presentation are also added into that number. On social media, we continue to increase our stats from who we're seeing online on all of our platforms, whether that be TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. And on our visitor center stats, we are up 29% over 2025, which is a huge jump for us and getting us back to some pre-COVID numbers that we're seeing folks coming in through the door. So that's an exciting stat. Also, I want to pull out the EarthCam. I know we talked about this a while back. We are about 72 days in, I think, since I adjusted this report. And as of now, 65,000 views on that EarthCam. So we're almost 1,000 views a day and over 1,000 likes, which puts us out of over 40 cameras in the state of Colorado, now number 5 at the newest camera. So very exciting that that's received a lot of traction. And we're looking forward to seeing who's seen that camera and then ends up in our destination as another marketing tool in our toolbox. On our events, we're cruising into coffin race season, and we've wrapped up our fruitcake toss, gumbo, wine fest this year. So wine fest, I know we had talked, we're going to talk a little bit more about that and what that looks like a little bit down this year, but everything else was very stable in terms of what we've seen in former years. And very excited to talk about coffin races on this next slide. Kristen, if you want to take us over. So
May I-
big news. We
May I
won
ask a question?
Oh, yes.
Sorry to interrupt, Jenna. Would you talk a little about the EarthCam and the cost for that, where that came from?
Certainly. Gloria knows a little bit more about how that came into fruition. EarthCam was, If you've ever been to earthcam.com, you can see live footage from all over the world in different destinations. So it's an international camera system that I actually looked into about 5 or 6 years ago. And at that time, the cost for the equipment itself was very expensive, around $5,000 plus an onboarding fee, plus 700 and something a month just to be on their network. I think the total cost was over $50,000 to $70,000 for us to acquire one of these cameras in our community. However, the owner of and the CEO of EarthCam is a big patriot and was excited to celebrate the 250th birthday of America and wanted 250 new EarthCams in 250 days. So at the right time, I received that information and reached out, and they awarded us one of those EarthCams to post in Manitou, complimentary, free of charge for 5-year commitment. So this EarthCam went live in June and will be hosting that EarthCam for 5 more years, and then we can determine at that time if we'd like to continue or not. But it was a big victory for us in having this out, and clearly the numbers are showing that it's going to be very valuable for our community.
And it's mounted at the Cliff House?
And it is,
at the
it's
Cliff House?
mounted at the spa building,
At the
as a
spa
matter of fact. Thanks to all the spa folks and the HOA there for championing this project and being willing to put that up and plug it into their internet connection. So, yeah, check it out if you haven't. It's on our homepage. So on coffin races, very exciting. We have partnered the last few years with a local named Clint Jordan, and he contracts with American Dream TV and has a local short form video show that he goes around Colorado Springs in our community and does filming of exciting things to do when you're in Colorado Springs. So he's come out and done filming for the coffin races the last 2 years. He submitted the 2025 video for an award and won. So out of 13,000 entries, our coffin races won a Silver Telly Award thanks to American Dream TV and the Jordan Group and Clint Jordan. So also part of that earned media that we received as Clint is doing this pro bono, so to speak, and he will return again this year. So we like having Clint. And great for coffin races. Ready. Not so great for Winefest this year, though. If you're looking at that trajectory, it looked really great going in 27, 28. We oversold a bit in 2019. Brought that back down to a more realistic level in 22, and we're gaining gradually. And then we've hit kind of a cliff. And so this year our Winefest was down. I know I mentioned that in Q1. I just wanted to show you visually what that looks like because that does have an impact on things like excise tax that we're paying on our ticket sales that come back to the city. As well as on our vendors who attend this event, and less revenues that they're making and sales tax that they're paying in. So we're looking to make a few adjustments next year to bring that back up to more like our 2022, 2023 levels. Just wanted you all to have a clear picture of where things are at.
Sure, well, actually,
I was just, this is, peripherally related, but I was listening to Marketplace on NPR today, and they were saying nationwide that alcohol consumption has dropped about 9%. And it looks like, especially with our Gen X's and Gen Z's, it's going to continue to fall. And I'm just wondering if you're considering, or if you already do provide non-alcoholic wine options, they're out there. I just know if that's something that might be interesting. But this is trending nationwide, not just in our community.
Very true. And some of those folks we are looking into, however, we're Colorado Wine Fest, so we only have Colorado makers. And I haven't found something really for our festival for Winefest. However, I do know that the Brew Festival is acquiring several non-alcoholic options for that event this year. So they are trending in that way because we've seen those market trends as well.
Well, I was just going to ask a similar question. Are you thinking of replacing the Colorado Wine Fest with something non-alcohol related, some other kind of event? Or are you looking at modifying the way in which you market it? Or what are your thoughts on where to go from here?
So we're looking into some non-alcoholic additions to the event. A lot of these wineries have been in since nearly day one. So we certainly want to make sure that we're sensitive to those that are returning year after year. And a lot of folks do come because they see that winery only at festivals and they're not maybe in the region in which they typically live or sell. But we are looking at reducing the ticket price next year and doing some different marketing strategies so that we can boost these numbers and still bring in a good number of folks to be with those vendors during the event. So, yeah, thank you. Good question. Okay. Lodging report. So we do collect data from lodging properties. Now, this is an optional reporting that is done by Neil Minch and Peak Analytics, but I wanted to share with you all that June was a 5-year high for his reporting at 88%. The ADRs were lower, so the rates did drop a bit, but good to just show you all what we're seeing from this report that we get monthly from Peak Analytics. That boost, it's been a bit since we've seen that, so just wanted to share that with you all. Average daily rate, sorry, thank you. Yeah. And here's something new. I'm
May I
excited.
interrupt you
Oh,
one more time?
yes.
Sorry. On the lodging report, that would include the hotel, the corporate hotels that are in the URA as well as our independent hotels and motels.
Correct. Not short-term rentals, just the lodging properties. So I've mentioned tourism economics before. This is some very fresh data and not a whole lot of it just yet, but I'm encouraged by some of the things that we've seen here. So down here on the left, what visitors explored section, this is showing that 53% of those entering our market are accessing one of our outdoor recreation spaces. So that is a trail, that is the incline, that's what that large bar in the bottom left is showing. Followed by districts, and I know we might have a question on what a district is. The districts are going to be our downtown corridor, 600 to 1000 block, Ruxton Avenue, Cannon Avenue, and the URA. So that means though that next bar is those that are going into those areas, hopefully shopping, followed by attractions, and followed by recreation and communities. So those are things like our pool, City Hall. So maybe not much of a surprise that most visitors are coming for outdoor recreation. And our top markets still Denver, followed by Colorado Springs, and then Dallas-Fort Worth. New York was a new addition. So that's something for us to take a look at as well.
Where would Mineral Springs fall?
They're going to be in that downtown district, and we did not specifically section out 7 Minute. I think it's a little bit challenging to do 7 Minute in Iron Springs. They're kind of covered in the Ruxton corridor. So, okay. I don't probably over my 10 minutes. So, on Pikes Peak regional data. So since my last presentation, I was able to add this in because the Longwoods International Travel Visitor Profile Study came out showing visitation year over year between 24 and 25. So, you know, you can call it flat, you can call it slightly up, which I'll prefer to do in this moment. But 63% of visitation being influenced by marketing efforts was a big number for us to see. That just shows us and validates for us that our efforts are worth continuing and keeping to improve. Overnight travelers, we've got budget friendly kind of coming in first. That puts us in a good position as well, given that our properties for the most part are fairly budget friendly. And some of those ADRs, as we just mentioned, are decreasing. So it puts us in a good position there. 16% being outdoor seekers, and we know that's the number one reason why people are coming. So we're holding steady regionally. And For the county, this is a recent Dean Runyon report that is also put out there by the state, and it does do specifically to El Paso. So you're going to see Colorado Springs in this report more than anything. But just to note that we've got increase slight in spending and in earnings and in taxes. So it's for your own perusal, but that's a slight dip of 1% employment we call that fairly flat as well. But I think seeing up arrows on the other categories is good for the county, good for us. And this is a report that the Colorado Office of Economic Development and International Trade put out, and that the Director of Tourism in Colorado had remarked on. So 29.2 billion in Colorado traveler spending. We still remain competitive, even though we've lost a bit of that market share this year statewide. This is just for us to continue to show the point that destination marketing funds have to remain strong because it is a competitive world out there, and Colorado needs to, as a state, maintain its stronghold. I know we're looking pretty good regionally in terms of staying flat or slightly up, just to continue on that track we're on. So key takeaways, increase in spending, slowing travel market, and need to maintain competitiveness for Colorado. But the outdoor recreation remaining the growth driver, overnight outdoor trips increasing over 22% in 2025, which is the largest increase in 2 decades. So given again, our outdoor recreation opportunities here in Manitou, something to note. And last but certainly not least, I think you all have a little gift from our office in front of you today, or maybe you're already wearing it. So our Do Manitou Springs Right campaign was a soft launch early this spring. It was a result of a tourism office grant, destination development mentor grant that we worked with the state tourism office on. We are moving forward into our next grant cycle for tourism marketing grant, and we'll be applying for a grant this week with the state tourism office to get this promoted out into the world to engage travelers before they arrive on how to be the responsible visitor that we want in our community, to make sure that they are treating our land and our space and our community with respect. So we have 7 principles that we developed as part of the Do Manitou Springs Right campaign, which is a subset of Do Colorado Right, which I think is on your next slide. So a little bit more information about what Colorado has done, and then encouraging the other communities through some of their grant programs to develop their local sustainability campaigns. So this began back in 2020 and has continued forward. And we're really proud to have our own Do Manitou Springs Right campaign to expand on some of our destination stewardship principles.
So going back, if you do get that grant for the Do Manitou Right, or whatever it's called, will that include recommendations to folks about parking so that we can hopefully encourage people to continue to park on the outskirts of downtown rather than clogging up downtown with their vehicles?
Absolutely. You're about to see the principles in just a second, and one of them is specific to mobility.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So the strategy is really to get to those visitors that are intending to come to our area, as well as our residents, and getting them to understand and educate them on what it takes to be a good steward of Manitou. So we're not finger wagging, but we're letting people know in a really positive, upbeat way how best to travel to Manitou. And here are our campaign themes and taglines. So Go Car Free is walk, ride, or shuttle like a local is one of our themes to encourage folks to park at the Dillon and shuttle into town. So on the mobility front there, we're talking a lot about outdoor recreation, sharing the trail, preparing for altitude, making sure that people are safe when they're hiking and doing the incline and going up Pikes Peak. So these are all the themes that we'll be promoting, and hopefully getting a little bit of funding to do so coming up.
May I ask one more question? Jenna, what, do you have a daily average of people who stop in at the visitor center? How many people per day would you?
It depends on the
Estimate.
season. This summer, we've been just shy of 200 a day. Now in mid-August, we're dipping to just shy of 100. So it fluctuates. Weekends will be a little bit more for a
Is
while.
there a common request? I mean, is it about the incline or is it about the cog or?
As a matter of fact, most folks that come in already know about the Mineral Springs tasting cups and the
Ah.
Mineral Springs self-guided tour. So Mineral Springs are a huge reason. In fact,
Good stuff.
we do sell the little cups in there for tasting, and we're selling almost as many cups a day as we have visitors in the visitor center. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I see in that one of the earlier slides, you have 10 new members, the second quarter. How many members do you have and what kind of trends do you see in terms of membership?
So I did not update that since the second quarter. I left that second quarter. But currently we have about 227 active members. And some of those new folks that have been opening businesses this year have also become members. We have recently shifted from a calendar year membership to a September to September membership, just so that we can make sure at the end of our summer season, that's when we're reigniting the next year of membership while there's, you know, um, money in the bank, without better way to say that.
Do people pay monthly or once a year or is it
Yearly.
up to them?
But we
Yearly?
do payment plans for some.
And then you answered this question a long time ago for me once, but I forget. You have a range of prices that you charge for membership, is that right?
We do.
And what is it based on again?
It's based on the type of business. So whether you're a service, a nonprofit, an at-home, a restaurant, so it varies depending. I would say on average, it's about $300 a year if I'm putting a dollar amount to it.
So, and is there some place on your website that I could look at these categories to see what the pricing is for each category? Is that on your website?
It is at the bottom of the page. There should be a link called Become a Member. And if you click that, you'll have access to our membership application, which does go through all of those rates.
And when was the last time you raised or lowered the rates, or have they been steady for a long time? Do you know?
I would have to look into that for you. That would be before my time in this position.
Well, you've been there for a while. Has it been 300 a year average during your reign?
For the last 18 months or so, yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. I just have a quick question too. I noticed that Manitou gets all of those little, what is it, like happiest town, friendliest town, coolest town? Is that work? Because it's just, I've noticed just in the last 3 or 4 years. Is that something that is coming out of the chamber that we're doing something differently, that they're tracking us, or is that a new sort of opportunity that wasn't there before?
I will say a lot of those come from World Atlas, and they seem to have a little crush on us in Manitou. So there are some publications out there that do. Thrillist is one of them. Thirst is another, where they will cover things that we're doing here because we fit their demographic as well, and they want their folks to be able to see something that interests them, and that is what a lot of things that we have going on with outdoor recreation. First and foremost, the small town vibe and community and destination places to visit for their folks. So there are certain ones that will continuously even sometimes use some of the same copy. And just, I don't know if you've noticed that, but I'm not going to say no, if they want to fawn over us a little bit, so be it. No?
And then Julie's got another question.
Do you have, is it 4 full-time employees?
We do. We have currently 4 full-time employees. Well, not on staff right at this moment, but we are hiring a marketing coordinator this week. Next week, probably.
Okay, so the event coordinator that you said you were bringing on, that's one of the 4 full-time employees?
They will be for September and October for the coffin races. Yes.
Oh, okay, so certain times of year, so it's a seasonal position?
We're discussing that, so I can't report further on that right now. But
And do you have any permanent part-time employees at this time, or is that something you're anticipating?
we do, we have 2 weekend part-time staff, and we also have Audrey on our payroll for Crane full-time, and we also have a social media contractor that's not a staff member, but a contract employee that works part-time.
And what's the Crane thing? Say that again?
And so Audrey is also paid under our payroll, if that was your question. So she is considered an employee under,
I see. Okay, thank you very much. So is Audrey one of the 4?
no,
Okay,
no. So we currently have 8 people on staff, on payroll staff.
and Audrey's not a payroll staff?
Audrey is on our payroll.
So you have 5.
Yes, but we also have part-time folks like the weekend staff and a bookkeeper,
So
as
you-
well as,
But 4 full-time plus Audrey,
mhm,
plus the 2 weekend part-timers.
plus a bookkeeper, plus a social media contractor. So
If
Are
if
the
you were to,
bookkeepers on staff?
the bookkeeper is on our payroll, yes.
if you were to do full-time FTE, how many would that be? I mean, you got some part-time staff, you got some consultants. I mean, is that 4? or-
Probably 6.5 FTE,
Okay, thank you.
And the bookkeeper is a full-time position?
part-time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And again, thanks for working with our schedule. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Right. And next up, what's that? We're good? Okay. All right, next up, we have the monthly financial report.
Told Jenna she took all my time. Yeah, I'll keep it quick. Oh, thank you. Nate Moore, Finance Director. We are looking at January through July. I'm going to start with the monthly financial report that says July 2026 on top. First page shows the expenditures. And you'll see that we are currently 58.33% of the way through the fiscal year. Our fiscal year is January through December. You can see at the very bottom, our total expenditures are just over that at 59.59. I kind of explained with the insurances, since they are quarterly, we've paid 75% of our insurance premiums, which obviously is budgeted. So that kind of raises some of those percentages a little bit. So I don't think there's any cause for concern. I just wanted to make a note, which I mentioned in the analysis. The transfers out includes the 692 fire mitigation, which obviously was agreed upon. And then that expenditures are in that committed assigned line. I just wanted you guys to see that the money obviously came out, and then all the expenditures are showing up in that committed assigned account because that fire mitigation is an assigned account moving forward. If you look at the revenues, and this will be posted online, you should see it tomorrow for all the citizens. I feel like I always have to clarify this. Julie always likes me to clarify the sales tax, but sales tax is 2 months behind based from the state. So I highlighted that. So you're looking at January through May. We'll talk about sales tax here in a little bit, which includes the sales tax report includes June, but on this report, since it's in our software, only includes January through May. So you can see the numbers are trending up, which is great. And our total revenue right now is at the 51.09%. It's definitely climbing up, and I think the sales tax is only going to get higher, obviously, with the summer months. Like I said, we're only looking at January through May. So we're going to get June, July, and August, which is going to really increase that. So we'll see that percentage go up here in a little bit. But I will move forward unless there's any questions about this first report.
Just one quick one, Nate.
Yes.
When it says January through July 26 actuals, you're saying that really is January through May?
For the sales tax, yes.
Yeah.
And it goes for each 2025 and 2026. So it is comparing apples to apples, just so you know. We can look at the enterprise report really quick. Enterprise, the top is the expenses for the enterprises. Same thing, obviously 58.33% of the year. So all the expenditures you can see are under that 58%, which is great. We're actually, our bottom line is 49.84%. Our revenues are slightly lower, but you'll see the parking is starting to trend upwards. Just like I said before, with our summer months, that's going to only increase, and it's a positive sign moving forward. So all signs are pointing in the right direction right now, currently for our enterprise accounts. If there's no questions, the last thing we have is the sales tax report, which you'll notice that June actually shows higher than June of last year. That's a big plus. I will say there is some revenue that came in from a previous year, but it wasn't enough to, it still shows that we are trending upward compared to last year, which is a great plus. Looking at our sales tax, like I said, we budgeted 4.9. We're definitely on that trend, and I feel confident that we'll get to that 4.9 mark that we budgeted for. And like I said, this June number only makes me even more encouraged. The weather has been great. I think we've seen a lot of people out there, which has been a good sign moving forward. And this sales tax report is online already, so that can be viewed by citizens as well.
Nate, on item number 7 for reported month June sales only, I don't remember what that is. Can you tell me what those abbreviations are? UTZ?
Oh, utilities and monthly services.
Okay, thank
So,
you.
yeah.
All good. Excellent. All right.
Thank you.
you very much. Okay. All right. Next up, we have authorization to purchase wildfire mitigation and emergency response equipment. Okay. Chief Buckmiller. Oh, we got Randy too. I didn't think Randy was going to be here. Excellent. Yeah. Okay. I think a few of you sent questions in advance, but I'm guessing we have a few more. But if you'd like to introduce this item, that would be great.
Hello, I'm Keith Buckman, fortunate to be your fire chief, and to my right is Randy Perkins, my right and left hand. So we were talking about a vehicle purchase, a trailer purchase, and that of a drone. The Bobcat that we purchased because of our topography has to be on tracks. And so in order for us to get that from transport from one place to another, we need to have a flatbed on which we can carry that. Along with that, we also purchased, or you approved us to purchase the burn box, which is going to take a very, very heavy duty piece of apparatus to move that around because it is heavy, bulky, and needs to be able to be moved and be able to be stopped. So the trailer is another piece of that equation with the pickup truck, which we're going to talk to now. So we need to have a vehicle to be able to pull this around, and we need to have a vehicle that's going to be hefty enough to be able to do this. The question that was asked was used versus new. And I will share with you that the vehicle that we're looking to pull is going to be having 1,200 foot-pounds of energy, which means there's a lot of torque on all those moving parts. And for me and my comfort level, and I'm not going to speak for Randy, but he's going to agree with me. I don't know what a used vehicle with that kind of torque has been treated in a used sense. I don't know how much I can rely on the U-joints and the axles and the suspension on a used vehicle, because if someone buys an F-350, they're buying an F-350 to work it. We're looking to buy an F-350 and we're looking to work it. We bought our ambulance, and within the year, we had $7,000 worth of maintenance that had to be done under warranty, which means that we saved out of our pockets the $7,000. This truck is going to be put into a lot more challenging position than our ambulance, which stays on streets. And therefore, we're going to be putting a lot of taxing on every moving part and every piece of apparatus that goes along with that. So as far as the vehicle, my recommendation is that we buy new with the warranty and the security that we have with that warranty, and that we know we don't have a history of somebody with an F-350 has done with it that we don't know. That said, are we ready to move on to questions for those two topics, the trailer and
The trailer. you have any questions?
Truck.
Hi, Chief. Are you saying that the fire department can't use the biochar equipment without a new truck?
No,
Okay.
we'll need that to be able to pull, that's on a trailer. It's able to be moved, but we'll need a hefty piece of apparatus to do that, and the F-350 will suffice.
If I can just add something, Gloria, the brush truck that we had planned on pulling, this was all new program to us. We're all learning as we go, obviously.
Mhm.
And the brush truck that we're planning on pulling with it is already a very heavy piece of apparatus. So
Right.
when we put that burn box on the back of that truck, it weighs that truck down even more. And we're afraid of wear and tear on that type 6, also that brush truck that we have, because it's so weighted down with the other equipment that we have.
Mhm.
And then on the flip side of that, our mitigation crew has done 3 mitigation jobs now. And we've always had to borrow a truck from Public Works to pick up the slash and pick up what we need to pick up so we can get the streets clean and keep it out of the stormwater system. So that's just stuff that we didn't plan for in the beginning that we're learning as we go.
Thank you. At one point, Chief, I think you said that some of this equipment might be used by other cities nearby and they might rent it from us and recoup some of the expense.
That's going to be a permission that we're going to have to get from you all, since that's a city piece of equipment. I know there's places that we'll be working, they'll be joint. There'll be places we'll be with Colorado Springs will be in the same area, and we can marry up that resource with them or with the state. But I don't think that we want to move that burn box someplace without one of us being there and without us having that liability of us putting their equipment into our box and then burning it and the liabilities come after that. We're all going to be going through a course on the safety part of that equation. I can't see us putting that out there like an Avis or a Hertz rental to have that done.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I got to talk about money. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure that I've got this right, but with the truck at 75,000 and the trailer at 13,500 and the drone at $62,637.38. With 40% of payroll, it looks like we're at 690, 197.53. And that's with 40% of payroll. So city council approved 690,000. So where are you? Where are you redlined at this point? And if so, by how much? Are you in the red?
The only part we're in the red is the 197.53, which I think I can pull out of a mitigation line item in my budget. The salaries were included in this up to the end of the year.
Okay.
So we did include those with Nate's help, and we got those figured out, including benefits. So
And-
this is with benefits and everything.
Okay, and so good to know. That's great. And so are you fully staffed now? Do you have all of your hires on board and all of their background checks have been?
Yes, our engine boss just started on Monday. So we are full staffed with that crew. We've been running with 2 people for the last month or so doing little mitigation projects that they could handle. And now our engine boss has come on and very excited about the experience and what he
Excellent.
brings into us. He actually came from CSU, retired from their wildland program. So a lot of knowledge what Jack has.
And I know this is a very silly question, but we're very entrenched in the budget right now. Do you foresee any other expenses? We're in August now, so from September to the end of 2020, do you foresee any larger expenses that you might anticipate or?
I don't foresee any larger expenses. I do have a mitigation line item in my budget that's around $5,000. So that should cover any tools or any repairs that we need on tools. But as far as big equipment or big things that we have, we don't have anything in the future.
Very
this year.
good, very good. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Is it fair to assume then that your employees that are working this fire mitigation are full-time? And
Yes, they're full.
yes, and then I've gotten this question from people in the public. I didn't know the answer. Because it was mentioned at one point that we might farm our equipment out to other communities and the concern is with our delayed maintenance, if you will, or the backlog of an intense amount of mitigation to be done, is it fair to assume that if our equipment is used by other communities, then it will be unavailable to us here and that will slow down our progress?
It's not our intent to do that without coming to you guys first to get your direction. We don't have any plans to do that. The only thing that they may be thinking about is deployments. And we are planning on deploying our crews to incidents. And if that's the case, then our equipment goes with us. So they'll be deployed for a certain amount of time. But the caveat to that is we get paid for everything and they cover the maintenance on the vehicles. If a vehicle breaks on an incident, then it gets taken care of on the incident. It's not our expense.
And do we currently have any deployments? Do we have any firefighters that are working other fires around the state or elsewhere
So-
at this time?
In the volunteers in the fire department, yes, we do have two that are out right now. But they're out as what they call a single resource. So another department has pulled them in because we didn't have an engine boss, so we weren't able to send our equipment out. The city makes money on our equipment when we send it out. So that's a big benefit for us. When we send out a single resource, we don't make anything. It's just a pass through. They get paid what they get paid but it's through us, but we just pass it through to them.
So any of the three fire mitigation employees could be deployed to a fire and take them off of mitigating Manitou's fire risk during that deployment. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
Would they be the last to go, or would they be the first to go, or how do you make that determination?
They would be the first to go. When we talk about preparedness, mitigation, response, and recovery, somebody else is in a position where they need the response. We're in a position where we're doing our preparedness and our mitigation. So they're in crisis. We're in trying to get our community safer. So if they throw a flag and say they need help, we would deploy that resource to them. They would then go on the books for the federal fire, and all of our equipment would be reimbursed back to the city. An example of when we had the Hayman fire, I know it was a long time ago, but we had 6 truck weeks out during that period of time and we made $90,000. So that was a couple of 2-week deployments. So there is a funding mechanism that can reimburse our line item through the federal government when some other community is in crisis. They would be the first to go, and we would be able to modify our mitigation on the city side to be able to accommodate some of the projects that they're working on.
And do you have an estimated completion date for the 2 projects you mentioned last time to try to address the mitigation on Serpentine, and I forget the other location where it would be an egress of vehicles during an emergency? What was the second one?
The only one I'm aware of is the Serpentine. I'm not aware of a second one.
We're also doing Washington up there on Sunshine Trail.
Yeah, we have already completed those projects.
You
Yeah.
completed Washington?
We completed right there where Washington and Sunshine meet. There's a pocket.
Right.
Pocket of, we've completed that one. We've also completed behind 7 Minute Springs. We did that one, which was big on OSAC's list to get done. And we've started Serpentine. We started that today.
And do you have any idea how long that project will take?
Serpentine may take a while.
And is part of that land the state highway?
Yeah, so we've gotten permission from the state to go ahead and do what we need to do in there. We got a permit from the state to do what we need to do.
And are they reimbursing us for improving their land?
No, we're not.
They don't
improving
care
their
about
land.
that.
Yeah, we're just taking dead stuff out. So
And so when do you think how long would that project likely take?
that project could, we're planning on 2 weeks, but it could take a little bit longer getting in there. Once we get in there and see what we need to do, then it could take longer than that.
And what's the plan once in a couple of weeks or however long it takes after Serpentine is addressed? Do you have the next strategy in place? Where you're gonna mitigate?
We have our mitigation team going to start doing patrols around the area to kind of find out where our biggest risk exists. And then we'll address that in a triage fashion so that we can deal with life, property, and then comforts. So if we have an area like Serpentine was kind of high on the list for egress, right, and that would be one of the reasons why I get pushed to the top. If we find a pocket that's, or we get notified of a pocket that is of risk and we assess it accordingly, then we'll move that up into the priority, move our resources there and do the mitigation there.
Okay, so the map that we've seen in the past showing the highest risk areas in town, is that basically you're essentially updating that rather than just going off of that?
The challenge we have is the risk was mostly private property aspect, topography and slope. And we can't touch that because that's private property. But on the overall spectrum of Plan Manitou, it shows them as being high risk. But we don't have the authority or the permissions to go in and do that kind of work. So we will be dealing with the city parts of that risk and the city parts of that threat.
And will we get a report or some kind of memo or something showing what comes next once you're done with the Serpentine project?
That's going to be kind of a challenge in that we might be touching 2 or 3 projects at once when we use our saws here and then come in and do the fuel removal later on, or whether we take our masticator in there and do some dropping. So it's going to be very fluid. It's going to be very dynamic. And I need them to be able to, if they got a saw down, I need them to move to a different project and that doesn't require a saw so that they can keep moving and keep getting their work done. Our intent is 40 hours a week of work out of them. And our intent is to get 40 hours a week of work out of each of them. And then we will be, through Randy, managing their topics and their prioritization of where they need to be putting their efforts.
And then this is a little unrelated, but Randy, are you a full-time employee for the fire department?
Yeah.
All right, and Carrie's got a question.
Chief,
Sorry.
Um,
Go ahead, go. Okay.
Good set of questions. I noticed in the budget that you had budgeted about $16,000 for payroll. What is your anticipated yearly? Now that I realize that this year we're in startup mode. Do you have an idea in terms of what the yearly payroll would be for next year?
I could certainly tell you, I don't have the numbers in front of me as far as their benefits and stuff, but.
Well,
I
yeah,
got-
I know, but can you take a wag that, given that the spending report said 116,000, I took a wag at guessing that was maybe 40% of the year. Is that?
Yeah, that would be correct. I mean, the engine boss is 75, and then the two people that we're paying now are at 70.
Okay.
So
is that 40%? Just, I mean, I just took a wag at guessing.
yeah,
from
but
the
we're not
reports.
paying the engine boss for the full 40% because he just started now. So, and
Right.
the other two started 2 months ago. So that's where it was a little bit staggered.
Okay.
But you'll be
thanks.
getting us the budget soon.
Thanks.
next
Yeah,
week.
I was gonna say,
Yes. Yeah, you'll have the budget.
Okay. And Carrie had her hand up. Is it okay, Denise, if Carrie goes first? She's been waiting. Okay. Go ahead, Carrie.
Chief, the other question I had was, we talked before about the egress in an emergency from Manitou Avenue going on to the 24 and that overgrown section right there by the Sinclair station being CDOT. Have we gotten permission to mitigate that as well?
Not yet. We will probably use Ben's contacts for that, our Public Works Director. He's the one that kind of helped bridge between us and CDOT because that's kind of their world. They don't have fire mitigation on the Department of Transportation. And he's been very, very useful in using his contacts to find the person who just gave us a check off for Serpentine. We'll do the same modeling for that as well. Egress is going to be very important, which kind of leads us, I'm sorry, we'll get to the drone in a minute. So I'm finished talking about that. True, that we are very locked in Box Canyon type community, and that creates our high priority for us to have egress. The purpose for the drone part of that equation is also to bring us some abilities to find out where those pockets are and what's on the other side which might not be our property. Like when we buck up against Red Rock Canyon, what's on the other side, and gives us the ability to get better geospectrum of what the fuels are in that area and what the topography is, so that we can see what we can do to mitigate that. So if the fire were to come running over the hill from us, we've got some mitigation to be able to encourage the fire to go in a different direction. That was the purpose of our drone as part of the preparedness, and it also ties into our mitigation. And then a couple of days ago, 5 or 6 days ago, we had a fire up in Crystal Park that we were trying to pinpoint, and we had some difficulty. We're trying to use people's house lights to kind of find an idea where this fire was located. Had we had the drone, we could have punched in the geo coordinates and sent the drone there. We would be able to identify the threat really quickly, instead of having our resources sitting for about 2.5 hours trying to pinpoint where this fire was located. And that was part of the equation that we put in there for the drone. The drone gives us lots of other benefits as well. I'm kind of segueing into the drone, I'm sorry. But we're segueing into the drone because that gives us the ability, the new drones have got a better platform, which gives us better technology, which gives us also the ability to have payload, where we can take equipment someplace else and get either voice, water, an AED, things to that effect. That gives us the ability to do that. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to push this into this equation now, because it's a tool that we can use from the mitigation side, but it's also a tool we can use for preparedness and certainly response. And then if Brent wants to use it for his recovery efforts, that can play out as well. That's the 3-prong attack that we're looking at tonight.
Excellent. Thank you. Denise, I know you've been waiting as well.
Do you want Carrie to go ahead and then I'll speak?
I think, are you good, Carrie? Okay, she has drone questions, but you had a question before the drone.
Yeah, I was just going to say every 2 weeks we're giving a pretty detailed update in our newsletter of what we've completed and what we plan to do in the next 2 weeks. So if you look at the newsletter, we have a whole page, sometimes 2 pages dedicated to fire mitigation that updates the community on what we're doing and the activities and their focus.
Good point. Thank you. Okay, let's see. So I guess drone questions.
Drone
All
questions.
right. Okay.
So I'd like to know in our adjacent communities, what other fire departments have drones similar to this?
Yes, Colorado Springs presently deploys 10 of them out of static locations, working in a remote location, and they get to fire off those drones from a command center at the POC. They use that mostly for police operations, but they've also used it for fire attack. The fire department has a drone of their own that they take with their safety officer that goes to scenes and looks around. They do that for search and rescue operations. El Paso County Search and Rescue also has a drone, but the newer platforms of these drones have interconnectivity so that they don't have collision avoidance. So the newer drones and the newer platforms work together. The drones that the Colorado Springs uses say static on roofs, and then they just launch them. And they've also got longer airtime, 45 minutes worth of flight time before they have to be landed and recharged. Let's see, I'm trying to think who else has. I know Colorado Springs Search and Rescue, El Paso County, I do not know. El Paso County Sheriff's Office. Do you know of others? So I just know that the 3 entities that we work with a lot do have a drone setup.
Okay, and because we are talking money, I'm curious on the scale of Cadillac to Kia or Volkswagen, whatever's the least expensive anymore. Where does this drone fall? Is it top of the line? Is it middle of range? It can get the job done?
The drone that is presently available to us is pretty much the state-of-the-art drone, and they don't make county-of-the-art drones or city-of-the-art drones. They make the caveat to what the chassis is and what the platform is, and then you can piece it out accordingly. We're picking the modules that will give us the best bang for our buck, which is the geospectrum, the fiber optics, and the ability to have a payload. We didn't do other parts of it with the parachuting, the safeties for when you lose power. What's that?
We did do parachute.
Oh, I'm sorry, he got a parachute.
And the only reason we did parachuting is because that gives us the ability to fly over people. So if we wanted to use it, for example, the coffin races, that we can assist PD with looking at crowds and stuff like that. The only way that we can fly over people is we have to get a waiver from the FCC, and we have to have a parachute on the
soft
drone.
landing.
Yeah.
Soft landing,
Yeah.
not dropping things, but soft
Yeah,
landing.
soft landing parachute. Yeah, not dropping with a parachute, no.
Right.
But soft
Not
landing with a
payload.
parachute. Yep.
Okay.
So does the fire department you have a drone? One drone?
We do have a drone, yes.
But this drone that you have is not anywhere near does not give you what you need in order to go into these remote areas. Is that correct?
That
What's
is
the difference
correct.
between the drone you already have and the one you want?
The drone we have presently gives us camera ability, but doesn't give us ability to read the fuels on the side of the hillside. The new drone will give us more airtime because our present drone does not give us the 40 minutes of flight. The new drone gives us payload. The old drone, we can't carry anything except for the gimbal, which is the camera on the front with the eye. The new drone will give us that piece of the equation. Everything else on the backside, the operational stuff is very much the same. There is some technology that we can use for fire modeling that is available and additional costs for the drone that we presently have. But the new drone will come with that part of the purchase price.
And Judith, I'd also like to say that this one, if we get a coordinate from dispatch saying that, which is a lot of times on the incline or wherever, we'll just get coordinates. We won't get that exact location. This drone, we can actually type in the coordinates and it'll fly directly to those coordinates. Whereas our current drone, it's pilot dependent. So it flies in the area that it thinks it is, and then it flies around to try and find who that is.
You've already talked about this a little bit, but in a few sentences, could you tell us how this drone keeps our community safer?
It'll keep us safer in a couple of different ways. We talked about preparedness. This will give us the ability to model our hillsides, so we know where we need to put our efforts. It'll also give us the ability with our mitigation to find out how heavy the fuels were and what we can do to predict how that fire is going to move over the hillside. It will also give us the ability to keep us safer in the terms that we can get quicker eyes on that. I'm going to bring up John Forsett, our fire chief from the past. When we had the incline fire on the homecoming day parade, John Forsett was the first officer there, and he called for air, but he had to get there first before he called for air, before he found out the intensity of the fire. This will give us the ability to get that read back more quickly, and will also give us the ability to get a lat and long on that ability so we can get air on it more quickly. So from the standpoint of making us safer, it will give us faster attack, more direct attack, more precision attack, and it will give us better intel that we can send back to other people so they can reprioritize. If there's only one airship available, we can show them what we've got going. We can display to them what our threat is, and they can prioritize that over Latimer County or Jefferson County or things of that effect, because there's only one airship in the state. They're going to be working on a priority system as well. And we have these lightning storms move through. A number of communities are impacted immediately. And then we have to be able to juggle for who's got the most threat to get the resources that we need.
Can you define the airship?
Whether it be a helicopter, the state owns a couple of helicopters, but we also have what's called a multi-mission aircraft, an MMA, which is a fixed wing that kind of comes in and be able to provide us with some thermal readings as well as a bigger picture from more than just 200 feet. We're limited to how high we can fly with our drone is to 400 feet, but there's better intel that we can get from 20,000 feet or 15,000 feet, which is one of the processes. So the state has a multi-mission, and then they've got 3 Type 1 helicopters. One's in Douglas County, one's in Canyon City, and one's on the western slope.
Carrie, go ahead.
Did you say that this drone has the anti-collision? If it only with another drone? So if you have Joe neighbor with a drone up, is this trying to look around ahead of you getting there? Do you have to ground your drone because there's an alternative drone up?
That's a really good question. What I meant to say is our platforms talk to each other so they can coordinate with each other. They also have internal, as does our present drone, collision avoidance. And with the collision avoidance, it reads things, trees, branches, telephone wires, and knows to go around. If someone else is flying a drone, we would probably have to have that drone landed, or we'd have to land ours because we can't have a collision. The FAA will not allow that.
And there's nothing for first responders with allowed to have jamming?
Don't I wish? But that's, I wish. But there's nothing presently available for us to jam another drone. Jamming a drone means we can interrupt their radio signal from controller to the aircraft, and then we can modify that. If we were not on their same platform, we can't take over. There's sometimes you can have two controllers for the same drone, but that is a very expensive endeavor, and you have to have proprietary information before you launch your drone.
So that is just one of our limitations. If somebody is,
Yes.
Joe Guy is up with his drone, we're grounded.
Yes, as is for Flight for Life helicopters, Air Life,
Well, that- yeah.
MMA. So if someone else has got a drone up in the air, they're gonna, we can't do other missions.
Okay, thank you.
Do drones come with a warranty?
They do. And they sometimes come with a other technology behind it, which is the ability to launch it remotely. Ours has to be opened up the case and then launched. They make other facilities where they can, like the Colorado Springs, they've got 11 or 10 launch facilities, which means they sit on a charger in a closed dome. And when they hit the button, it's almost like a silo. And then they launch the drone from there. That's an additional cost. There's lots of other features that you can get with these drones, but we're using the ones that are what we think is the most prudent cost. We have our
You're done with drone questions? Okay, Denise has her hand up. Denise? Do you
Yeah,
want
I
to-
just want to mention, because you did talk about budget, one of the things that we are looking at doing is also a mailer to all residents. So we're putting together a mailer of what, fire mitigation, evacuation, et cetera. We're looking at where those funds will be, just so you're where we'll take those funds to get that mailer out. So I just want to mention that to you, that we'll be getting a mailer out in the next month or so for just education to the entire community.
This can be a tool for the neighborhoods to utilize to find out where they've got their problems as well, to help them make their plan of action as a community.
And was there a warranty? It doesn't, I don't know.
I told Gloria I would get back. I'll send
Okay,
out an
that's
email
fine.
to everybody once I got to look at the paperwork. I think it's a 3-year, but I don't want to say that and then not be right. So I will get that out to council.
Sounds good. Go ahead, Julie.
Well, since you said that, there are different, I don't know what to call them, different things that you can buy with the new drone, or that would be possible. I don't know if I heard this right, with the new drone, like extra accessories or what have you. In terms of our upcoming budget meeting, do you anticipate recommending any additional equipment pertaining to the drone that we should consider in your budget?
The baseline drone that we're looking at gives us all of the dreams that I've got for it. I don't anticipate another feature coming up, as sometimes when they develop a new process, they make that incorporated to the present rollout. So we would get that for free. Right now, I think that with the geospectrum, the fiber optics, the collision avoidance, and the payload and the parachute, that we will be able to have a very, very solid package.
And is this the kind of thing that once you order it, it shows up in a week? Is it like Amazon dropping it off in a couple of days, or
But
is it
they
on
drop-
back order?
They drop it with a drone. And now, yes, it would be a really rapid turnaround. When we had a conversation with the rep for Skydio, he indicated that we could be in service in a month.
Okay, thank you.
And just to add on to that, just real quick, the limitation, it's limitless. PD, if we have, say, somebody running from this drone can lock onto this person and follow them just like anybody else would. So we could assist PD with searches, has infrared built into it, so it can find people in bushes, it can find animals in bushes, it can do lots of different things.
So it would also be used by the police department.
We would have to come out and fly it for them because according to the FAA, our pilots have to be Part 107 pilots. So they're actually pilots. It's not just Joe Blow picking up a stick and flying them. So we have 4 pilots, I think we have 4 pilots
So
that can fly them.
would it be available for the coffin races?
Sure, I can be around for the coffin races. One
It
of the
just
things
depends on the
Be
delivery.
here by then, but
We're hoping that it is.
we have used the drones for police operations already. We had a suicidal patient up in the Ruxton Canyon that they were trying to locate, and we flew the drone with with our Spectrum, our infrared, to try to locate that individual. And so we have used the drone with police operations already.
So I assume then that it makes sense to keep the more rudimentary drone that we already have in addition to the new one.
Yes, the resale on the present drone is not enough to really recover our costs. I do believe Brad got that drone for free. But we have a free drone that was given to us 8 years ago that has kind of been antiquated, but it still functions.
And if we don't have the new drone by the time of the coffin races, would the old drone be available to monitor?
Yes, but we kind of fall under some of the other requirements. We can't fly over people. So we would have to be flying on the peripheries because we have limitations from the federal aviation.
And is that something you plan to do?
Fly over people?
No.
For-
Fly around the periphery that you.
That's what we would have to do with the present one. Yeah. Okay, that's how we would have to fly. We would not be able to fly over crowds. The new one will be able to fly over crowds.
And that wouldn't be preventative. That would just be if you were notified about an emergency.
We can do that as prior to help establish where we would have hotspots or where we'd have to have egress places where we can have patients move to. Because getting people out of that type of crowded would have to have some pre-planning goes and let. We'll have an incident commander that will be established before that happens, but we can give them an overlay of what that looks like before they get there. Once the event is going on, we can fly as surveillance, we can fly as intel, we can fly as response. There's many different avenues of that tool once that event is in process. But as far as the coffin races go, we've got a lot of our resources on foot in that area already, and that would just give us a different layer of surveillance.
Excellent, thank you. And obviously, we're getting a little off track there because we're talking about the coffin races, but it is interesting. Any additional questions before we move forward with the recommendation? Okay. Does anyone move to authorize the purchase of the Skydio X10 Patrol LED drone system and a full-size crew cab pickup with equipment trailer for use by the Manitou Springs Fire Department as presented?
I'll move approval.
Great. And a second?
Second.
All right, a second and a vote.
Counselor Latimer. Motion carries unanimously.
Great. Okay, let's take a break and we can come back at 20 to 8. Thank you.
Jeff on Zoom.
All right. It's exactly 7:40, so here we go. Okay. Next up, we have consideration of resolution number 1726, a resolution of the City of Manitou Springs, Colorado, approving an intergovernmental agreement between El Paso County Clerk and Recorder and the City of Manitou Springs regarding the conduct of a coordinated election on November 3rd, 2026. And Elena, would you like to introduce this one? This is pretty short and sweet.
Yeah, thank you. Pretty routine resolution when it comes to elections. State law requires that any local jurisdiction participating in a coordinated election enter into an agreement with the county clerk. So this is what that's doing. By adopting this resolution, we're saying that we're abiding by the laws or the laws of the elections and going to abide by the rules listed in the IGA. Also naming a designated election official, which would be me in this case, and authorizing me to execute the agreement and fulfill the election.
All right. Any questions for Elena? Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 1726, a resolution of the City of Manitou Springs, Colorado, approving an intergovernmental agreement between El Paso County Clerk and Recorder and the City of Manitou Springs regarding the conduct of a coordinated election on November 3rd, 2026?
I move approval.
Great. And a second?
Second.
Second, give it to Carrie and a vote.
Counselor Latimer,
Gloria, geez.
motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you, Elena. Okay, next up, I do apologize. This is a little confusing. So this is consideration of resolution number 1826, a resolution submitting a ballot issue to the registered electors of the City of Manitou Springs at the city's November 3rd, 2026 regular election to permit the city to increase the city's excise tax on ticket sales and admission fees by up to an additional 4 3/100% or 4.03%. And so included in your packet is a resolution. That resolution does include details such as the ability to decrease or basically phrases that we can raise it up to that 4.03%. Julie Wolf did put together another option for us that does not include that language. It's a very clean, just increase of 4.03%. So today we can discuss whether we would like a more nuanced version or if we would like to go with Julie's version or some hybrid form yet to be considered. So I'm just introducing that we do have two options on the table for discussion. And that's what I have. Jeff, do you need to say anything additional or are we good?
No, that's fine. I agree. I understand Councilmember Wolf is proposing that we get rid of the ability of city council to increase or decrease it. So those are both legal options and it's just up to the city council.
All right, go ahead, Judith.
Yeah, as I recall, Jeff, we had this conversation when we were talking about increasing the marijuana sales tax. And the reason why we decided to go with the language of up to, I think you instructed us that if we do that, then we don't have to introduce another ballot measure should we want to change it at any point. Is that correct? If we do that range, we don't have to come back with another ballot measure. We can do it by resolution or ordinance or whatever it takes. Is that
Yeah, that's
correct?
generally
Or is it-
accurate.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Julie.
Yeah, the reason I submitted an alternative ballot measure is because first of all, when we asked for the ballot measure to be drafted, there was no discussion about this up to an additional 4.03%. It was just 4.03%, certainly subject to any discussion we might have today. The reason I think it got stuck in here was because last year, when we looked at a much more aggressive tax increase, it was so aggressive, it was such a large tax increase that it was determined that maybe it made more sense to say that the law would allow us to charge up to an additional X amount, whatever it was last year. Whereas now this is just a dollar, a percentage increase that would make the tax equal to the sales tax. And so I just think, I just don't want city council for the rest of eternity to be required to, or asked to have meetings every year with various businesses that are subject to the tax, to have to come in and lobby city council and beg us to charge them a little less. I think they should be charged the same as the sales tax is. And I think it would be unfair as well, because if I were a business that paid sales tax and we were to put on the ballot a tax increase for the amusement excise tax that says up to, then as a sales taxpayer, as a business owner, I think, well, why aren't you giving us a resolution to have it be up to whatever it is, 9.03? Why, why are you giving favoritism to businesses that pay amusement tax and not for us? So I just think it's a lot more consistent, and this is a much smaller tax increase than we were requesting or recommending to go on the ballot last year. So I just think to keep it consistent and fair really across the board, and to prevent the possibility or the likelihood of future councils being lobbied for a reduction in the tax amount each year. That's why I submitted this Plan B that just says it's going to be 4.03% increase. Vote yes or no without confusing the electorate or making the businesses feel that we're providing some favoritism to the amusement businesses.
Go ahead, Carrie.
I think Julie makes excellent points. I'd support her amended version.
Okay. Go ahead, Gloria.
I think Councilor Wolf's version is simpler and easier to understand. In the first version, we have lines 7 and 8, I think are confusing to voters, and ballot language is often hard to decipher in the first place. So I think the more easily readable we can make this, the better. There is a typo at the very end. It should be a period instead of a question mark. Oh, no, you're right. Excuse me. Shall we? True.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead, John.
I certainly support it as well. And to me, I guess up to me means that actually we can only, when I think up to, I don't think it includes the number. So I think that's also helps clarify things. I mean, to me, I think that almost means it can only be 4.029999 or something like that. So it's just maybe a matter of semantics. So I certainly agree with, I think given that, I think what we're trying to do here is to make the amusement tax the same as the sales tax. And I think that's a fair amount. And so I think I agree with Julie. I hadn't thought that maybe somebody would lobby, but I think what we've experienced before, that some of this business sector has a lot of influence that we've seen before, and a lot of campaign money and a lot of pressure. And I think this would take that pressure off of future councils. And I guess I want to remind council that, at any time, the electorate or council can refer a ballot item to the ballot, changing any of the taxes that we do. And I think that's a cleaner way of handling it as opposed to having the council having this political pressure to be, oh, this year the economy for amusements is somehow down. And so maybe the sales tax ought to be down a little bit. I can just see that's sort of kind of some politicking that I think is a legacy that I would prefer not to endow future councils with.
All right, let's see, Carrie, you've weighed in, Judith.
And so that's my second on her motion, if we're talking about a first and a second on her
Oh,
motion, if we need
Do
one.
you want to do that? That's fine. Do we want to read this into the record so that you have this language, or do you have this, Jeff, do we need to read the new language? Okay, I will do that since it's my fault that the incorrect language landed in the packet. Shall the city of Manitou Springs taxes be increased by $1,200,000 annually in the first full fiscal year commencing January 1, 2027, and by such amounts are raised annually thereafter by adding an additional 4 3/100%, 4.03% to the city's current 5% excise tax rate on ticket sales and admission fees, and with the resulting tax revenue being allowed to be collected and spent by the city without regard to any expenditure, revenue raising, or other limitation contained in Article X, Section 20 of the Colorado Constitution or any other law.
Article 10.
Oh, I apologize.
That's a
Sorry,
Roman
I
numeral.
apologize. Thank you. Article 10, Section 20 of the Colorado Constitution or any other law. And then the additional aspects of the resolution remain the same. Is that okay, Jeff?
Yeah, there actually was a slightly revised title for the resolution too that I noticed in Councilmember Wolf's version. And so I'll just read that if save you some time. It's a resolution submitting a ballot issue to the electors of the city of Manitou Springs at the city's, and it should be CITY'(S), just fixing a small typo, on November 3rd, 2026 regular election, directing the Manitou Springs City Council to increase the city's excise tax on ticket sales and admission fees by an additional 4 3/100%. And then there is a 4.03 in parentheses, and there should be a percentage symbol behind it.
Excellent. Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We've got the motion on the table, so we got to keep going now. So do we have so I guess I made a motion.
The amendment.
Yeah, so we still have to go through the process. So,
Okay.
so we've got a motion on the table that, I guess, did anyone actually, I mean, I read the motion in place, I guess, maybe.
I'll second it if it has not been seconded.
John seconded.
I don't care who seconds it.
Okay, we'll be working with Judith and John on this, and then Julie, you have a friendly amendment.
Just a minor question for you, Jeff. I noticed that in the title, I say, I worded admission singular fees, whereas in the body of the ballot measure, I copied what you had, which has an S.
Yeah.
For
I-
admission. Is that,
Yeah,
does that matter?
I noticed that too, and so probably to be precise, we should change the title to say admissions fees.
Okay. So as a friendly amendment, I suggest that we approve first and second motion, subject to admissions with an S at the end fees in the title, as well as the apostrophe S under cities and the 4.03% at the very end of it, because I failed to put in the percent figure in there.
Okay, Judith, are you comfortable with those amendments?
Yes, Mayor.
And John Chada?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Excellent. Okay. And then with that, let's see, we all haven't had a chance to weigh in. So Nate, would you like to weigh in? We have an opportunity to
I'm
discuss.
supportive of this, and this may be for my own education, and this may be for Jeff. There's a specific dollar amount listed. Is that just part of protocol that we need to do that?
Yeah, good
under-
question.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
Jeff?
Yeah, it's a requirement in Tabor that you provide an estimate of the amount of revenue that you estimate is going to be raised in the first year of the tax. So that has to be in the
It's
ballot
assumed
language.
as an estimate.
Yes.
Okay.
And then as a note, If you actually end up raising more than that, there's an argument that you have to basically seek voter approval to retain the excess amount. But there's some nuances there, and the ballot language is drafted in a way that you may not have to do that. So that's why you provide the estimate, because you're not supposed to be underestimating and then collecting more taxes. Table was designed to give voters as much information as they can have when they vote for a question. So.
And that number is only operative for the first year, because the
Correct.
other language says as then what is raised in subsequent years, right, Jeff?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I failed to mention, I do have about 60 signatures from the community supporting this excise tax. So I just want to mention that. And I think the other thing worth mentioning is that while this income is very necessary, it does not fully support all aspects of our budget. So we still have a budget deficit that we're managing as a council. So I just want to make sure that that's clear moving forward with this. But any other additional items before we vote on this? Okay, excellent. And a vote.
The motion carries unanimously.
Great. And then Elena, can you now inform us of what we can and cannot do now that we've approved this? In terms of, lobbying, using.
Natalie, maybe Jeff should do that.
Oh, Jeff, do you want to do that, Jeff?
I'd be happy to. It's called the Colorado Fair Campaign Practices Act. And so you're basically free to do things on your own time with your own money, but you basically cannot spend any city funds, use city resources, anything like that to encourage voters to vote one way or another on this ballot measure. But the city council still has the authority to pass one resolution stating their position on the ballot measure, encouraging voters to vote how you think is appropriate. And then you can publish that resolution only via the way you publish all other resolutions. So really, you just can't use city resources, city staff, city time. City staff can answer questions if they are presented to the city staff by interested citizens. There's an allowance for the city to publish a neutral, factual statement addressing the ballot measure. It has to basically contain pro and con arguments for the measure. I get a little worried about council doing that because it can always be interpreted one way or another. So I generally encourage council to just support it in their own time, with their own money, not with any city funds or city resources. And you can pass your resolution.
All right. Any additional questions for Jeff regarding what we can and cannot do as a council moving forward? Excellent. And of course, you're always available to answer questions.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. With that, we move on to receive or act on council correspondence. Does anyone have any council correspondence for this evening? Go ahead.
It goes back to what Gloria mentioned earlier, and I wish I had asked the CSU representative this, and I didn't. But I've gotten a bunch of emails and correspondence from people living on Waltham complaining that even though the road work up there and that whole project is supposedly done, that it appears that the subcontractor that filled potholes filled some of them, but not all of them. And during the break, John Shada mentioned that there might be some provision in our code requiring that when a portion of a street is torn up, this is for you, Jeff, that when a portion of the street is torn up by CSU, that they're responsible for remedying that whole section and not just picking and choosing which potholes they think were their fault and which weren't. Do you know off the top of your head, Jeff, if there is something we have in our code addressing this? Or if you'd rather, do you want to get back to us? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, so Denise is shaking her head as she knows, but I do know that there was a conversation at one point, and sometimes we have it in franchise agreements where if somebody does work on a city street where it's been built and or repaid in so many years, they have to repave a whole section. Denise seems to be thinking it's not in the code. I can double check. I can't remember off the top of my head. So
It's not in the code. We looked at it and it's not. Plus, if you look at CSU's rules and regulations, they state what they can do and not do. And so we have both of those. So no, it's not in the code. They just have to fix the area that they corrected or that they had some damage to.
Okay. Oh, I can see how that would be a conflict if our code says you have to do it and their code says you don't have to. If that were the case, we would have had a different contract with them to clarify.
our code,
Prevails,
our
right?
code, our code governs.
Oh, because it's our land.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you could just confirm that we really have nothing of the sorts, and perhaps that's something we want to look at, particularly before we go forward with the Rexton project.
Okay, go ahead, Gloria.
Hey, in regards to the Waltham project, Julie mentioned potholes. If you haven't been up there, there are probably, I don't know, they're much larger than potholes. There's 6 foot by maybe 3 foot. There's large sections that have been patched. So just to clarify that. And we've all probably got some emails about Republic Trash Service. So that should be on our, do you know when we might review that contract, Mayor?
Do you remember, Denise? Is it March of next
Yeah,
year?
no, it will be going out for an RFP the beginning of next year. So we'll be going out for an RFP to see how many trash companies bid on it.
Yeah. Are there any, if there's any things that the city can do in the meantime, Denise, to get better service? Because we have some people who get home from work, they think the trash is still going to be picked up. They leave it out overnight. We have a bear issue. You know how the story goes. So they need to let people know when they're not going to be picking up trash and or recycling, and when they will reschedule it.
You bet. And then I always encourage people, if they have a concern, to reach out to me and I'll make sure that we have Republic contact them.
Okay, I have one more, if I may quickly. I have mentioned to you my concern about our vacant and abandoned buildings and them coming into a state of disrepair and in some places perhaps hazardous. So I looked at our municipal code. We have ordinance 1317, chapter 6.75 that might address this issue for us without a new ordinance, but I would request that the planning department take a look at that and see if that might address our concerns. In particular, I'm concerned about the bottling plant, the 7-Eleven building, and then there are a few residences that appear to be abandoned and in disrepair.
So this has come before us in various ways for the last few months. Do I have a vote of council to make this an agenda item and to work on this with staff?
Can we just find out first if we already have it in our code or not before we decide whether it needs to be on the agenda? If we already have it in the code and it's just a matter of enforcement, then I don't think we need it on the agenda. And if it's not in our code, then I'd like it to be on the agenda. So maybe it'd be good to find out first.
So, but we are interested in having staff time go toward this issue.
I think the planning department needs to do
You
an
mean going
assessment.
toward enforcing our ordinances?
To researching what
Yeah.
that code
Yeah,
actually
by
is.
my
Usually
view-
our city attorney can tell us what the law is. We don't need the planning department to tell us what our law is. Jeff, are you familiar with that provision? Can you tell us in non-legal words what it says?
I'm not familiar with it, and I was trying to get the citation that Gloria had provided. What was that citation?
I don't know the citation. It's ordinance number 13.
Oh, ordinance.
But it's within the municipal code. It's under chapter 6.75.
Yeah, but I do feel like this is turning into an agenda item as we're discussing it further. So I think the question is council interested in having the the planning department review this, work with Jeff, and come back to us with an answer to Gloria's question.
May I ask a
Sure, go
follow-on
ahead, Judith.
question? Would part of this work session be discussing potential fees? Would that,
So we do have the fee schedule coming up.
right?
And that could be the appropriate time for this conversation, that it could just come up naturally. I do believe that it is going to get complicated really quickly once we start diving into it, but that would
Right.
be a good starting point.
Well, the city administrator says some significant background, work needs to be done. She's nodding yes before, it's brought to us. So I guess I would defer to Denise to give us some thoughts on this.
So if council wants us to do the research, we'll do the research, we'll talk to Jeff, and then we'll come back and let you know what we have and don't have. And then if you want us to move forward, then we'll give you a timeline that we can bring something forward to you. But it is going to take some time. It will not be part of the fee schedule. We won't have the time to really look at defining vacancy and looking at all of that at that time.
So I got a thumbs up from Carrie, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay, excellent. All right, thank you, Gloria.
Right.
Okay, I just have two items. The first one is that Carl did request that we sign a letter that was drafted by Bicycle Colorado that would be sent to the Attorney General, Phil Weiser, regarding the misleading marketing of electric motorcycles as e-bikes. Is this something that council would like to consider supporting this letter? Or because he did share it with all of us on the 6th of this month.
I signed it already.
So you signed it as individually or just as a, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the easiest thing always, is for us to just sign as individuals. Great. Okay. Cool. Okay. And then the next thing was that the Manitou Springs Spa Condo Association is applying for a Colorado State Historical Fund grant, and they asked for a letter of support from City Council. They are trying to maintain and repair their mineral spring located in the middle of their building. Is this something that council would be comfortable with me drafting some letter in support of that grant application? All good? Okay.
And who's-
Natalie,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I do want to mention, we met with them. One of the
Mhm.
things that we talked about is we probably would need an easement of some type to make that a public mineral springs. Without that, it's really a private mineral springs. So I just want to bring that to your attention.
So I guess the question is, and Julie, I know you have a question as well. They can apply as a private entity and they just need letters of support. Would you rather that we hold off on support until they make it public, in which case it would be on us to repair?
I think maybe just give us another couple of weeks, because they were going to go to the Mineral Springs Foundation, talk a little bit about what they could do to support them, and then we talked about an easement. So if you could give us another week or so, I don't know when their application is. However, if this council
Over, yeah,
wants to
we've
move
got some
forward
time.
with support.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, Julie, you have a question?
Well, I was just going to ask for clarification on where they're applying, what the potential grant source is, and whether that would decrease the chances of the city being able to use that grant money for something else, or is it specifically, is it something that we would never want to compete with them on? I didn't hear where the grant source.
Sure. So it's the Colorado State Historical Fund. I know the Manitou Art Center has received grants through this organization, as well as the Heritage Center. I don't know about any other organization in Manitou. However, Denise, do you want to weigh in on whether or not that would impact the cities?
So the library also received a fairly large grant. We've applied twice for Hiawatha and have been denied. I don't think we're going to be applying this time, but we will be applying next time for Hiawatha again.
So Denise, then my question would be, if the Historical Society, whatever they're called, if they were to honor this grant, would they be less likely to approve our grant requests next year for Hiawatha or for elsewhere? In
I
other
don't
words,
think they would be less likely, but if we were to apply at the same time and we did a letter of support, then they would ask us to rank them, which is the first priority and what is the second priority.
And so since you're not applying for anything in 2026, then there's no competition, is that?
Right,
correct?
for this time, we're not going to apply to my understanding. We're going to wait till next time and then apply for Hiawatha again.
Okay, thank you.
So what I'm hearing from council is that you're supportive of this letter, provided that Denise and the Mineral Springs Foundation are also in support of this application, that the staff, is that correct, Denise? Your understanding? It's just a few more. Mhm. Okay.
Yeah, I would just like another day, another week to really figure out
You've
where
got
we
time.
were. Because we met with them last week and we were talking about an easement and what that would look like.
Okay. And I think it'd be great if we owned it, but that's just my personal opinion. So, okay, excellent. All right. Any other? Okay, excellent. Denise, you're up.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody this Saturday, the public can come to the fire department from 10 to noon, meet the field crew, see all the new equipment that they've purchased. A great opportunity to really meet them, talk about what they're doing, and talk about their expertise, and then see the equipment that we bought. So this Saturday, 10 to noon at the fire department.
Excellent. Okay, anything else? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting? That was Julie, and a second? All right, second by Gloria, and a vote.
Motion carries unanimously.
All right, thank you very much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Jeff. Thank you. Good night,
Welcome.
Janice.
Good night.